Dear students, today I'll continue the concept electric charges. In that, point charges. What are point charges? The charges whose sizes are very small as compared to the distance of separation between them are called as the point charges. Then, what are elementary charges? Elementary, we can also call basic unit of charge or fundamental charge or elementary charge. Elementary charge means it is the smallest possible value of charge that is present in our nature. So in nature, this charge is itself a small. So there is no other charge smaller than this charge. The charges of any other bodies can be expressed in terms of this charge. That's why we call this elementary charge as a basic unit of charge or fundamental charge. So, elementary charges are the charge on proton or charge on electron. So, this elementary charge is denoted by the symbol E and its value is, as I told, it is the smallest possible value of charge in the nature, right? So, the value of elementary charge is very small and it is 1.602192 into 10 to the power of minus 19 coulomb. The charge on proton or charge on electron can be called as a elementary or fundamental or basic unit of charge. Then charge on electron is minus 1.602 into 10 to the power of minus 19 coulomb. Since electron is negatively charged particle, so value of charge of electron is also negative, that is minus 1.602 into 10 power minus 19 coulomb, and so value of charge of proton is plus 1.602 into 10 to the power of minus 19 coulomb. So we say the charge on electron and proton are equal in magnitude. Means magnitude of charge of proton and charge of electron are same, that is 1.602 into 10 power minus 19 coulomb. Okay. So then charge on neutron. What about charge on neutron? Neutron is a neutral particle, right? Therefore, charge of neutron is 0. Charge of neutron is 0. Then, now let me move on to discuss about the properties of charges. What are the basic properties of charges? So, charges are, as I told, it is invariant in nature, right? So, this charge is a scalar. The first property is charge is a scalar. Charge is a scalar means it is having only magnitude but not the direction, and its SI unit is coulomb. SI unit of charge is coulomb. And the second property is like charges. Like charges means the same kind of charges, means either positive or negative. So these like charges repel with each other. Repel with each other means they move away from each other, and unlike charges attract each other. So like charges repel and unlike charges attract. This is the second property. Unlike charges means, so these are opposite kind of charges. Opposite kind means one positive and one negative. So if we consider unlike charges, so these unlike charges will move towards each other. That's why we say they attract each other, either positive negative or negative positive, they always attract. So this is a main property of a charges. One is one of the fundamental property of charge. So properties of charges, like charges repel and unlike charges attract. Okay, so this is one of the basic property. Then the next property is charges are additive in nature. Charges are additive in nature, and the next property is charges are conserved. Charges are conserved. And the next property is charges are quantized. Charges are quantized. Now, so let me discuss these three properties one by one. Additive nature of charge, conservation of charge and quantization of charge. So, the first is additive nature of charge. So, additive nature of charge. Additive nature of charge, say, so according to this property, the charges can be added algebraically. Algebraically means by using ordinary arithmetic algebra, we can add the charges. So, in an isolated system, if we consider an isolated system, the total charge present in the system is always equal to sum of the individual charges present in that system. Means, suppose if the system contains plus Q1 plus Q2 and plus Q3 minus Q4 minus Q5 minus Q6 as the charges, then the total charge in that isolated system is always equal to sum of these charges present in that system, that is Q1 plus Q2 plus Q3 minus Q4 minus Q5 minus Q6. In the same way, suppose if we consider any body having the charges, for example, plus 4 coulomb, minus 3 coulomb, plus 9 coulomb, minus 7 coulomb. What is the total charge in this system? We have to use the additive nature of charge. So, according to additive nature of charge, the total charge in the system is always equal to sum of all the individual charges, right? So, 4 coulomb plus of minus is minus 3 coulomb, plus of plus is plus 9 coulomb, plus of minus is minus 7 coulomb. So, the total charge is 10 minus 7 minus 3 10. So, then 13, 3 coulomb is the answer, like this. So, this is the example how we add the charges. Now, let me move on to discuss about the next property, that is conservation of charges. So, what does this conservation of charge states? Conservation of charges states the total charge in an isolated system always remains constant. So, the law of conservation of charges states that the total charge in an isolated system always remains constant. That means the total charge in an isolated system can neither be created nor be destroyed, but the electrons can be transferred from one body to another body in that system only. Means, if the system having many bodies, the electrons can be transferred from one body to another body in that system. But the total charges in that system is always remains constant. So, it is always remains conserved. It doesn't vary. It cannot be created, cannot be destroyed. For example, if we consider an unstable nucleus. In an unstable nucleus, neutron can be converted into proton and electron. Okay. According to law of conservation of charges, the charge on neutron, as I told, total charge in an isolated system remains constant, right? So, charge on neutron should be equal to charge on proton plus charge on electron. So, charge on neutron is 0, that you all know, because neutron is a neutral particle. Charge on proton is plus E and charge on electron is minus E. So, E plus of minus is minus E. E minus E is 0. See, the total charge in an isolated system remains conserved. It means it remains constant. This is the next property, I mean conservation property of charges. Then the last one is charges are quantized, means quantization of charges. What does this quantization rule states, or quantization of charges states? Quantization of charges means the charges of any body, I mean charge on any body, can be written as an integral multiple of elementary charge. We call this expression for quantization of charges. So, quantization of charges means the charge of a body can be increased or it can be decreased in steps of E. Here E is the elementary charge or charge on electron or charge on proton. So, quantization rule on charges states that the charge on any body can be written as an integral multiple of elementary charge or charge on electron, and it can be expressed as Q is equal to N into E. Here Q is the charge on the body and N is the number of electrons added to the body in order to charge it or remove from the body in order to charge it, and E is the elementary charge. Its value is known to you. So that is 1.6 into 10 to the power of minus 19 coulomb. So charge on a body can be increased or it can be decreased in steps of E. Okay, this is called as a quantization of charges, and this quantization of charges was first suggested by Faraday when he was doing electrolysis experiments, and it was first demonstrated by R.A. Millikan by conducting oil drop experiment. Okay, so this is about the quantization of charge. Now, let me move on to discuss about the next concept, that is electrostatic force. Electrostatic force. What is electrostatic force? So, up to here we have discussed about the charges, properties of charges and nature of charges, right? So, now let me move on to discuss about electrostatic force. What is electrostatic force? If we consider any 2-point charges, the force of attraction or repulsion between any 2-point charges will be called as a electrostatic force. So, one of the major concept in order to understand this electrostatic force is Coulomb's law. So, it's very important. Coulomb's law. So, what does this Coulomb's law state? Let me explain. Coulomb's law states, so consider 2-point charges. 2-point charges. What does Coulomb's law state? The force of attraction or repulsion between any 2-point charges. The force of attraction or repulsion between any 2-point charges is directly proportional to product of magnitude of the two charges, that is Q1 into Q2, and inversely proportional to square of the distance between them. Let us take R as the distance between the two charges. So, the force of attraction or repulsion is inversely proportional to square of the distance between them, and this force is acting along the line joining the two charges. Okay, so the statement of Coulomb's law is, Coulomb's law states the force of attraction or repulsion between any 2-point charges, stationary point charges, is directly proportional to product of magnitude of the two charges and inversely proportional to square of the distance between them. Square of the distance between those two charges, and it is acting along the line joining those two charges. Now, let me explain this law in detail. So, here we have considered Q1 and Q2 as the two stationary point charges, means static point charges. So, here Q1 and Q2 are the 2 point charges, and R is the distance of separation between those two charges. According to the law, force of attraction or repulsion is directly proportional to product of these two and inversely proportional to square of the distance. Now combine these two equations. We get F proportional to. Here Q1, Q2 comes in the denominator and R square comes in the, Q1, Q2 comes in the numerator and R square comes in the denominator. Okay, so by combining these two equations, F proportional to Q1, Q2 by R square. Now, remove this proportionality symbol. So, in order to remove the proportionality symbol, we have to add a constant. Let us take K as a constant. So, F is equal to K into Q1, Q2 divided by R square. Okay. Here K is called as a proportionality constant, or it can also be called as a Coulomb's constant. We can call K as a Coulomb's constant. So if the medium between the 2 point charges is air or vacuum, if the medium between the 2 point charges is air or vacuum, then the value of K is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught. This is epsilon naught. Now add this value of K in this equation. We get F is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q2 divided by R square. This is the expression for electrostatic force. That is F equals 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q2 by R square. Okay, so this can also be called as a Coulomb's force. So this is about the explanation of Coulomb's law. Suppose if the medium between the 2 point charges is other than air or vacuum, means so it's not vacuum, it is any other medium, then the value of Coulomb's constant is 1 divided by 4 pi epsilon. Here epsilon naught means permittivity of free space. Epsilon naught means permittivity of free space. Epsilon means absolute permittivity. If the medium between the two charges is other than vacuum, then K value is 1 by 4 pi epsilon. Then this equation becomes F is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon Q1 Q2 divided by R square. Okay. So now let me move on to discuss about this epsilon naught, that is the constant. Epsilon naught is permittivity of free space, and its SI unit of permittivity of free space is Coulomb square per Newton per meter square or Farad per meter. Okay, and the value of permittivity of free space is 8.854 into 10 to the power of minus 12 Farad per meter or Coulomb square per Newton per meter square. Okay, so then what is the value of this Coulomb's constant? That is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught. Let me calculate that. So here 1 by 4 into, we know pi value is 3.14 and epsilon naught value is 8.854 into 10 to the power of minus 12. Okay, and the unit is, SI unit of epsilon naught is Coulomb square per Newton per meter square. So reciprocal of this is, so reciprocal of the unit also. So 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught value will be, after calculating this value, we get 0.00899. Now take 10 power minus 12 to numerator, that becomes plus 12. Okay, Coulomb square per Newton per meter square becomes Newton meter square per Coulomb square, because here we are taking the reciprocal. Okay, so then its value is, now shift the points. So here positive power, right? So therefore now shift 3 points towards right because it is positive power. So towards right means 8.99 into 10 to the power of 9. 3 points shift ಮಾಡಿದಿವಲ್ಲ, so 8.99 into 10 to the power of 9 Newton meter square per Coulomb square. So after rounding off this value 8.99, 9 is greater than 5, right? So 9 into 10 to the power of 9 Newton meter square per Coulomb square. This is the value of 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught, ಅಥವಾ value of the Coulomb's constant. Okay, any doubt? So now let me move on to discuss about the next one, that is SI unit of charge is Coulomb, that is known to us. So now how do we define that SI unit of charge? By using this Coulomb's law or Coulomb's force. So now let me define Coulomb, 1 Coulomb or SI unit of charge. Definition of SI unit of charge. So SI unit of charge is Coulomb. Now how do we define 1 Coulomb or Coulomb? For that, let us consider Coulomb's force expression. So from Coulomb's law, we know expression for electrostatic force as F is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q2 divided by R square. In order to define 1 Coulomb, take these charges values as 1 Coulomb. That means let us take Q1 value as plus 1 Coulomb. And in the same way, Q2 value as plus 1 Coulomb, and the distance of separation between the two charges as 1 meter. Okay, so R value as 1 meter. We all know from the properties of charges, like charges repel, right? Here we have taken identical charges. Identical means same kind of charges. Now substitute all these values. So F is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught value is already known to us, that is 9 into 10 to the power of 9, and Q1 value is 1 Coulomb, Q2 value is 1 Coulomb, by R value is 1 meter square. Okay, so this value becomes 9 into 10 to the power of 9 Newton. Okay, so now how do we define 1 Coulomb? 1 Coulomb is that charge which when placed at a distance of 1 meter from another identical charge, identical means same kind of charge, identical charge in epsilon naught means the medium between the two charges is vacuum. So in vacuum experiences a force of repulsion, because these two are identical charges, so experiences a force of repulsion of 9 into 10 to the power of 9 Newton. Okay, once again 1 Coulomb is that charge that is placed in 1 meter from another identical charge in vacuum experiences a force of 9 into 10 to the power of 9 Newton. This is the definition of 1 Coulomb. Okay, so now let me move on to discuss about this Coulomb's law in vector form. How do we express Coulomb's law in vector form? For that, once again consider 2 point charges, that is Q1 and Q2 in a plane. So here we are considering 2-point charges q1 and q2. Okay, so let us take this q1 is at a position of r1. From the first view itself you know about the position vector. So the position of q1 from the origin is r1 vector, and in the same way position of the charge q2, so from the origin is vector r2. Now we have to express this Coulomb's law in vector form. Right. So now we already know Coulomb force expression. F is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q1 q2 divided by r square. Here we have considered the two charges. We need the distance of separation between those two charges, right? For that, so position vector of q1 is r1 vector, position vector of q2 is r2 vector. In order to find the distance between these two charges, let us consider. If the charge q1 apply force on q2, since these two are identical charges, there exists a force of repulsion. So this charge q1 pushes q2 away from it, because so this is the force of repulsion. Therefore the force is vector F21, force on q2 by q1, force on q2 by q1. Now see, these two are in the same order and this is in the opposite order, right? So from the concept of triangle of vector addition, let us consider the distance between these two as vector delta r. Okay, so this delta r value will be obtained by, see, delta r can be written as r2 vector minus r1 vector. From triangle of vector addition we know, so the two vectors that can be added, so which are taken in the same order, and that is equal to the another vector, means third side of the triangle, that is taken in the opposite order. So r1 vector plus delta r will be equal to r2 vector. So delta r vector can be written as r2 vector minus r1 vector. So this r2 vector minus r1 vector can be written as r21 vector, right? r21 vector means the magnitude of this r21 vector is r21 and the direction is r21 cap, because this r21 cap is the unit vector that is acting along the r21 vector. So now we say the distance between these 2 point charges as r21 vector. Now the expression for Coulomb's law or Coulomb force in vector form can be written as vector F21 will be equal to, so constant is as it is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught and into charge is a scalar, so q1 into q2 divided by the distance between these two charges is known to us, vector r21. So magnitude of vector r21 is, so r21, therefore r21 square, and the direction is r21 vector direction is r21 cap. So that means r21 cap is acting along f21 vector. Therefore we write r21 cap. Okay, so this is Coulomb's law in vector form. So vector F21 equals 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q1 q2 by r21 whole square into r21 cap. Here vector F21 is the force on q2, force on q2 by q1, and here vector r21 is the distance between these two. r21 is the distance between q1 and q2, and r21 cap is the unit vector that is acting along the direction of vector F21. In the same way, if the force is acting on q1 by q2, we represent that as vector F12. If the force is acting on Q1 by Q2, then it can be written as vector F12. But the magnitude of this vector F12 and vector F21 are same, because the charges are same and distance between them is also same and this constant is also same. But direction only changes. This direction is opposite to this vector F21. Therefore, we write force on Q2 by Q1, force on Q2 by Q1 is always equal to negative of force on Q1 by Q2. That is, vector F21 is equal to minus of vector F12. See, this is nothing but Newton's third law, right? So we say Coulomb's law obeys Newton's third law also. This is about Coulomb's law in vector form.